Hi, and welcome to the 10 square metre workshop. My Dudley tool chest project carries on, but as part of that, I'm examining the tools I'm putting in them, and sometimes improving them. And one of the items I've decided to improve is this, the shawn shim. What's the shawn shim? Well, when you're making dovetails, you want a nice tight fit. One way of achieving this is that after you've cut out the tails, but before you've chopped out the centres, you lay it on top of the piece that it's going to mate with, and then mark through those slots with a blade that has the same curve as the one you cut the tails with. You slot it down and make a mark, ready for your saw to fit. However, there is a problem. If you just mark it as it is, then there'll be a gap the size of the kerf of your blade on every joint. The answer to that is the shawn shim. This has an offset which allows you to set the top piece off to one side in this direction for that and that one, and then you invert it and that moves it the other way by a saw width to do the other two. However, although it works, there's a bit of a problem. You have to hold that against the piece, the top against the other face, whilst at the same time making sure the fronts are aligned with each other. You have to hold all three together whilst you make the mark. Prone to error. So, enter the super shim. I'll be making this out of a bit of brass angle. I could be using aluminium, which would be cheaper, but brass looks nicer, and I have some. Step 1 was to cut a 60mm length, then shorten one leg to about 8mm. I then used a sheet of 400 grit emery to give it a brushed finish. The kerf of my saw measured just under 0.5 mm, and this was confirmed using feeler gauges into an actual cut. That's the important reading. I now need some brass shim the thickness of my kerf. I've actually got some 0.4mm brass here, and I'm going to use that. I may have to add some of the 0.005, it's 5 micron foil on top. I'll see after I've done it. I cut a 24mm long piece of this and cleaned it up. A few drops of super glue on one face. Place in the middle of the angle. And then clamp firmly in a vise until it sets. After it had set, it measured 0.46mm thicker. That's good enough for me. A couple of hundredths of millimetre in woodwork, not so much. So how does this make it easier? Well, it aligns in both planes, so it's not hard to hold it with one hand while you mark with the other. And for the opposite direction, you just raise this so that it's supporting it further in rather than further out. And you do the other side. You are then left with clear saw cuts which your blade can just drop into, so you know you're sawing them in exactly the right spot. So there it is. Simple to make, very accurate, and requires no machine tools. And it works off either face and holds everything in line. I call that a win. And so there it is. Why not make yourself a super shim and make even more accurate dovetails? That's all for this time. Bye.